Hey folks, welcome back to another Battling Brushes with myself and Rob Oren. You'll be seeing more from him in a little bit. Today we're continuing our series this month of painting Arcadia Quest. So this was a auction item that was purchased, so to speak, during the Jack Vassal Memorial Fund auction last year. And so we're doing that for them now. And today I'm taking a crack at Scarlett and Wisp. And those are the two miniatures I'll be painting today. And then Rob's going to be hitting up Spike and Grom from this game. So let's get down to the table. Alright folks, so today we are taking care of these two guys for Arcadia Quest. We're taking care of Wisp and Scarlett. So we'll get to both of these. First of all, we're going to start off with their flesh. And flesh is not a whole lot on these two models. They're pretty much covered rather well. So this isn't going to take a whole lot of time, this flesh part of it at least. But we do want to get it done first so that we can be careful along other times. So we want to make sure that the flesh gets covered well. And mainly for Wisp here, his only part of his face is from the bridge of his nose up to his forehead. Everything else is pretty much covered in some kind of material. So we'll start with Wisp here, and we just have some Kislev flesh here. And it's kind of a lighter color flesh, which is what we were kind of going for here. So and take out Scarlett. She has a little bit more flesh showing on her face because half of it isn't covered by a mask, but at the same time this is going to be pretty much the same level. Just kind of trying to get underneath the hair so we can try to get good coverage of that flesh tone underneath so that it looks like she has all that skin under there. So okay, so the next thing we're going to do here is we're going to take some Wa Flesh Green. It's a darker shade green, and go over her cape. Now her cape in the pictures, you can't really tell on her card here, but her cape is actually a green color, and it looks a little darker there, but it actually is a green color in some of the other artwork in the game. So we're going to go ahead and go with a dark green, and then we're going to do another, almost a dry brush in a lighter shade green to give it that lighter shade that the artwork has. But we're just going to go ahead and hit her green jacket here. The reason we're doing the darker color first is so it helps out with the shading and that type of stuff later on. And now that we've got the cape done and that Wa flesh, we're going to go ahead and hit the hair next. And I'm going to use a small brush first. We'll go on with a base of corn red because she has kind of a pinkish hue, but there's a lot of good shadows in her picture, if you can see here as far as her hair is concerned. So there's a lot of good opportunity for shading there. So I'm going to start with a darker red and then go lighter, and hopefully it won't look too pinky. So now that we have the hair and the cloak done, we're going to go ahead and go into the actual armor, that type of stuff. And the armor, again, you can barely see it here, but her armor's kind of a bluish color. Kind of a really deep blue. So I'm going with a McCrag blue to do this. And then we're going to be going back over and touching up with some of the highlights and stuff like that. So this is just really the base color that we're trying to do with her armor and that type of thing. I am going to be going back a little bit to get all of the little spaces that I'm not able to get with this big brush, but right now with this coat I'm just trying to get as much coverage as possible so we can get a good base coat, because you are going to have to go back and do a second coat of the white. It just won't cover. Try to stay, as you're doing the hair, try to stay in the flow of that particular strand so that you're not creating any strange lines or anything like that as far as the way the hair is flowing. Okay, now the final touches with Wisp here. I'm going to come back and I'm going to actually put Noon Oil on his hair. Now the reason I'm doing that, and some of you might be screaming no at this point, but the reason I'm doing it is so that I can get the definition. Then once the shade dries, I'm going to go back and touch it up with some white again. So here goes. Scarlett here. I decided to go with a little bit more of a orange than a pink for her hair. You know, trying to make it a little bit more of a natural redhead, but shading did pretty well. It shaded it, started off with the corn red, and then did a wild rider red on top of it. So I like the way it turns out. And then the lighter shade Scarskin green, Scarsnick green over that Wa flesh looks pretty good for the jacket. I mean the scarf slash robe slash cape. All right, and so all I really need to do is get her pupils in there on her eyes, and she's done.
Thanks a lot, Sam. You're doing a great job. Love the work that you're doing, and I can't wait till we get this all done and we get to go at it. Now, today is going to be the meat of this game, and it's all in the characters. Because their heads are so big and their bodies are so small, their facial expressions really become the focus of this whole game. So I'm going to be showing you a lot of different techniques on how to do this and how to work with a anime type character. You're not going to see a lot of washes or darkening up things, but we're going to be more trying to get expressions and features of the facial structure, because that's what really makes these models. So today we're going to be working on Grom and Spike. So why don't we get down to the table and let's take a look. Today we're going to be working on Spike and Grom. We're going to get these two guys all painted up and get them all ready here. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to put our flesh on, because that's the biggest part of these guys. So we want to make sure that we get that on there. So we're just going to take a Kesel flesh and just go over everything, and we're not going to worry about being too neat about it. Take a little out of the pot. We're using a Kesel flesh, and we're just slopping this on. We're not trying to be too neat. Doesn't matter if we get it on his hair or on his pants or anything like that, because we're going to be going over that with a fine brush anyway. So what we're looking for is just good coverage. And we're going to do the same thing with our buddy here. We're just going to slop that paint right on his melon. And we're not going to worry about being neat about it. What we want here is good coverage. And you can see he's mostly beard. Surprising. And we're not worried about anything else than getting that on him. Doesn't look like much, but you watch how this all comes together. As you can see, I kind of for time's sake, I just kind of basically did his brown areas and did his crossbow and the handle there just to save a little time. But right now what I'm going to do is I am going to take care of his facial hair and his hair itself. Now I always start this out with a Wild Rider Red, which is basically an orange in so many words. And I usually do this in two colors because with orange hair, it's a very hard thing it can get away from you real quick. So what we're going to do is just get this all painted up and into the side of his face the way he has it. And it's not going to look like much right now, but what we're going to do is really make sure that we get around his mouth, and to be very careful, just doing and touching very lightly until we get around there real well, like you're seeing there. Very good plastic here. I've only had problems with one figure as far as the plastic's concerned, and unfortunately it's our boy Grom here, who's leaning a little bit, but it's nothing earth-shattering. Alright, so as you can see, we got that there, and then we want to take care. He's got as you can see, the hair kind of works its way around. Seems he shaved just the side of his head, and we got a few touch up with the flesh color, but that's nothing earth-shattering. There we go, and we just want to make sure. And if you notice, I start in the middle, and again, I'm always working my way to the edge. That's the key to everything. Just start in the middle and work your way to the edge. Now, as you can see here, we got Grom here, and I've also jumped ahead a little bit and did a little dryad bark on all his brown areas. So now I'm going to take a little bit of XV88. What I'm going to do is actually dry brush his hair so we get that nice depth to it. And that's what's going to really bring the brown out underneath his hair. Alright. And we could do the same with Spike here. Make sure that we have the paint off. And then on his lower pants and skirt, because in the picture they're all brown, and we just want to highlight that and bring it out. Excellent. Good. Well, it looks like we're getting to the point where we can move to the next stage with these two guys. Now, the most important part here is the actual features. And we've got our paint pen, we've shaken it a few times, and we want to get his teeth. And you just got to take your time. This gives you ultimate control. I think it's better than a brush. And just going in there and getting the few digits that he has. And trust me, he doesn't have many. And you just want to make sure you get it. If you mess up even with this, guess what? You can fix it. And you can see I'm just taking my time with this pen. I'm not trying to rush through anything. And his teeth are right where we want them to be. Then the eyes, which is usually the hardest part on these guys, to try to get a brush in there. All we want to do is just get it in there. I messed up there a little bit, but that's alright. Something that we can fix. We've got the teeth done real well. We're just going to go over a couple more. Okay, with Grom, we're just going to add in his wonderful smile, if you want to call that a smile. And we're just going to go over the top of his teeth. Just want to get that. And you see how you have complete control with these paint markers and the difference that they make. I mean, really just gives you a lot more control than if you had a brush. So, we got all the highlights. We'll wait till that dries and just add the two eye dots for him because he doesn't have any detailed eyes. The next figures we got have some detailed eyes. As you can see, he just has a dot for an eye. Very carefully touching up some of the spots on this. And you can see, hold on, how we got the tattoo in there onto his head, the two white dots for his eyes, and I think he looks pretty good if you ask me. I think that's a pretty successful figure. So I'd say Spike is done if you ask me. Now let's take a look at Grom. So here you go, we got both these guys all taken care of. As you can see, we got Grom with his eyelids, he's all angry and everything like that, and we used a paint marker to really accentuate things, as well as get that tattoo in there. Everything's exactly the way we want it for this guy. And of course, our boy Grom, who is pretty much mostly skin. And like I said, the eyes on these two guys, they're just black dots, so I'm not going to bore you with sitting here as I try to do Grom. I have to wait for Grom to dry. And Spike, we were able to do that. And get some of those tattoos in there. So these two guys, I'd say, are complete, and you'll be getting a real good close-up of all the miniatures when I'm completely done with everything. But we got these two guys done this week. But let's head up top and call it a day. I think we're going to do 3 figures next week, just to get ahead of everything. And that's it from here, so let's go up top and get on out of here. Well, there you have it. That's how you do Grom and Spike. Sam, you're doing a great job. We got 2 in the can already for Arcadia Quest. Why don't you take us on out of here, and I'll see you guys all next week.
All right, so that's 4 more miniatures down, out of the way. Had a great time doing it, and Rob did a great job as well. Those little paint pens, man, it almost feels like cheating, but hey, it gets the job done, right? And they look good. So that's been Battling Brushes this week. I hope you come back next week as we'll be painting some more figures from Arcadia Quest, and then near the end of the month we'll be having that Battling Brushes showdown as we normally do. So please, thank you for watching, and please come back and join us next week. Until then, this has been Sam Healey and Rob Oren, and you've been watching Battling Brushes. See you on the flip side.
Thanks so much for watching the Dice Tower videos. Find more great videos and reviews, as well as our top-rated audio podcast at Dicetower.com. You can also find other great shows at Dicetowernetwork.com. I'm Eric Summerer, and you've been watching The Dice Tower. The Dice Tower is sponsored by Cool Stuff Inc., where you can find great games for great prices. Cool stuff in stock. Check them out at CoolStuffInc.com.